Hello and welcome back to Kaiserreich. I chose an excellent time to start this episode as this banger of a song just started playing. So last time we had a bit of an abnormality, a bit of a strange thing happen. We took over Mexico, even though I don't believe we have had any soldiers anywhere near Mexico. And I finally realized in the shower how that happened. You know, your best ideas and your best your best ideas always come to you in the shower. And I realized obviously Mexico was a minor nation, and in Hearts of Iron 4, when you peace out in a war between majors, any minor nation is just sort of like along for the ride. They don't get a say. So if you take over the majors, then the minor nation gets traded in the peace negotiations as well. So that's what happened with Mexico, I believe. Anyways, so the focus of this episode is going to be a bit more constrained. I don't think this is going to be a very long episode because we have a lot of administrative things to handle. First of all, we have some naval stuff to deal with, and I did some of this stuff off camera. Also, we have some military police business to deal with, which I also did some of off camera. I repositioned or sort of changed the layout of the military police coverage here. We're going to need a bit more of these divisions, and we're going to need some more of them in the future as well. I don't know how, like if we're going to get an event that's going to decide how we're going to deal with Britain. Hopefully we do, because I don't want to keep military police all over Britain for the foreseeable future, though I do like all of the extra factories we're given. Speaking of which, I did some changes to production. We need to get our support equipment back up because we've started outfitting all of our troops with support regiments or support divisions. What are they actually called? They're called support companies, and that is expensive in terms of support equipment. As you can see here on logistics, currently we are losing military equipment, but that's going to stabilize, I believe. We have a deficit in military equipment stored. We also have a deficit of support equipment. So we're currently ramping up production for that as well, for military equipment and support equipment. You can see the production efficiency just needs to sort of build up on support equipment, slightly on military equipment too, but the problem there I think is the lack of factories compared to the immensity of our military machine at the moment, which sort of had to grow a bit faster than it should have, honestly. So on the naval side of things, I've done some reading, which I actually didn't need to do, but more on that later. I did some reading on these symbols, which I had to scan through a 558 page NATO symbol manual that I found online to sort of find. But it turns out I didn't actually have to do that, because if you go to design a ship... Oh, whoops. We don't need any more carriers right now. If you go to design a ship, it doesn't tell you what these things are until you hover over it here. Like, even if you're in here, you don't know what they actually mean. But if you click one and then hover over it here, it tells you what it does, or what it's meant to represent. So I learned that I don't want to have these symbols for all of my capital ship fleets, because these means clear mines, and I don't want them to clear mines, because their only ability to clear mines would be them ramming into them, and that seems like it's going to be very expensive and not very good for me. So instead I've set them to this, which is destroy surface targets, which is essentially their job. They're going to be interdicting targets spotted by all of my other task forces. I've noted these down as task forces with various roles. So you've got the surface warfare task force here, which is the primary task force, meant to take the role of a strike force, which basically conducts traditional naval surface warfare. Then you've got the patrol squadrons, which are set to, this one is set to ISR. Basically its job is to just gather intel. This one is sent to ASW, because I'm going to outfit it with our new designs for destroyers. And its job is going to be to sink U-boats. And then we have because ASW is anti-submarine warfare, and then we have an escort one. whose role eventually is going to be escorting convoys and stuff, but at the moment it's still just patrol. In fact, it shouldn't. Well, actually, yeah, it's still just patrol because this is fairly trained. I've also set all of my fleets to return to base. And that is because I want to sort of organize their, reorganize them and sort of get them back to where they're supposed to be. Some of them, which were already in base, I've set them to exercise, because some of the fleets never got any experience over the course of that short war. So, yeah, excuse me, I had to have a sip of my water, but so for that, yeah, so basically to ensure that they actually are ready for the next war, I'm setting them up to train. Those that already had experience, I'm just sending them back home to repair and refit and all that. I'm not quite sure if I'm going to refit any ships yet. I don't know if we've made any advances that won't take way too long to refit. I've also set the East Africa Squadron. I'm sending them to Ceylon, and they're going to be set up in the Eastern Theater, which is going to cover everything east of Africa here. You know, very Eurocentric perspective, but everything east of Africa here is going to be covered in that theater, and they're going to be helping out with Thailand for now. When I get another submarine squadron, we're going to dispatch maybe 1 or 2 to Asia as well, and set them up to raid here. For the moment though, I'm just going to have these back home. Some of them are going to be exercising, some of them are going to be, like these ones are going to be exercising when they get back home, because they didn't really sink much over here, and then most of them are just going to sit back home and refit while the rest are exercising, kind of preserving some fuel. Because exercise basically takes up as much fuel as if you're fighting, I believe, and that is the most fuel like intensive activity you can take with a fleet in this game. Right, let's see. I've actually made notes of what I've done and what we're going to be doing because I prepared. So let's see. We have refitted our submarines very slightly. We changed. It still got the same class designation, but we changed the sonar to a snorkel to reduce sub visibility because we don't really need sub detection. Actually, they don't need to detect other submarines. Really, they can fight them, though not super effectively. But yeah, they're not going to be searching for submarines at all. At least not yet. We might actually, sort of in the later stages of the war, set up designated recon submarines, which is actually kind of effective, at least if it still works the way it used to in the beginning of Man the Guns. And we are training new Marines, which are over... So we've got these Marine divisions, which I was kind of torn on what to do with them, but I'm going to send them over to Thailand and try to land behind all this mess here. And potentially try to cut them off because, I mean, they have a port there. Yeah, cutting them off isn't going to be tenable because then you have to sort of get around the mountains. So instead I'm going to send them over here and try to take, try to take Bangkok and potentially ship troops over there and just push in. We're going to want something fast, so we might need cavalry divisions, which I don't really have. I doubt supply here is, yeah, supply does not lend itself well to motorized and tanks, I don't think. But I might send my motorized over there anyways. Yeah, we're training new Marines over here in Denmark, or Holstein, Schleswig, sorry. And we are going to be sending them to Norway in the future, because they are syndicalist. So we can potentially expect them to unite against us with the CSA if they win, or the Iberian Federation. So that's just us sort of planning for the future. And that's 3 Marine divisions. We're training 1 more Mountain division because we're going to send our Guard infantry here, which has mountain divisions and stuff. We're going to send them over to Mexico. And we're going to cover... It doesn't really matter which border we cover, but we're going to cover a border at least. And the reason I'm building mountain divisions is because there's a lot of mountains in this area here. And at least in the western seaboard of the United States. This is also in preparation for the potential eventuality in which the combined syndicates win, but also the Pacific states who might become an enemy. So, you know, still, I'm not 100% convinced that they're going to become an enemy. They might ally with the Commonwealth of Canada, whom they do share an ideology with. We're not quite sure what the French Republic are going to be doing later on either, so yeah, we're basically doing that to just sort of prepare for the future. Let's see, is there anything else we haven't done? Oh yeah, so I've sent my Mediterranean fleet back to the Mediterranean, which, you know, that's going to be important for the Iberian Federation, cutting off their ability to sort of mess with us over here, to disrupt the flow of goods from France, Italy, sort of these provinces and stuff, down to Asia and back. Let's actually check. Yeah, so we can see our trade route here. So we're gonna use that that fleet over there to sort of protect that stuff. If this gets really bad, we can just reroute the trade around Africa this way, and they shouldn't be able to do anything with it. It's also like one of my favorite features in Man the Guns, where you can actually set a region to not send trade fleets through and stuff. Really, really handy. And yeah, you can see this as well. Our fleet's going from Orkney, or actually no, they're going from Wilhelmshaven, which is where all trade seems to originate from in Germany here. Past the Scapa Flow. And over to Mexico. What are we actually getting from Mexico, or are we just trading with them? Or trading to them? Not quite sure. We don't need to buy anything from Portugal anymore. We still need stuff from East Asia. Interesting, so I think something happened to our relationship, because now we're getting less from our... we might just be having our convoys raided. But it seemed like we're getting less from our trade deals here. Once this one finishes, obviously we're gonna keep we're gonna stop producing that outdated schematic, and then we're gonna start creating, keep creating this one. We're probably gonna switch over to the next submarine hull soon, and then also we're gonna keep pumping out light ships and keep pumping out light cruisers and stuff to actually build up the patrol fleets, which we completely lack, and the escort fleets we need. Because Germany is sort of set up with these amazing strike fleets, which do have the necessary screens and everything, but they just completely lack any sort of patrol fleet. The reason I want smaller patrol fleets is because they're inexpensive when it comes to fuel. They can stay out in the field forever. While that is not really a thing we can do with these fleets. Alright, let's look at this. So yeah, this is from the end of the war, where we lost some convoys. Yeah, mostly convoys, due to that one British submarine squadron, which we never got. The Arabic revolt is still going on, still going strong. Rashidi Arabia seems to still be holding on, and same with the Mashriq Kingdom. Not so I've heard of the Hashemids, but I don't know much about the Mashriqi Kingdom. Hopefully someone who is familiar with their history can elucidate in the comments. That's also a super helpful thing that I've found now over the course of doing this. There's a lot of people out there with a lot of diverse sort of backgrounds, with a lot of diverse knowledge, which tends to pop up whenever I sort of misunderstand or don't know something. I can count on people in the comments being like, "Oh no, this is actually how it went down," or like, you know, these are the facts, and so on and so forth. All right, I think that does it for the stuff we need to sort of set up. Oh yeah, so I haven't done it yet, but we're going to be splitting the Atlantic Theater, I think. Because we can now start basing ships over here. We have amazing naval range. We can't quite reach stuff out like Hawaiian stuff, but we can if we need to start invading the islands. So, and this is going to be hell to defend if that does happen, if we do get into like a Pacific island hopping campaign. I hope we don't, but Japan's ambitions might make that an eventuality. Who is this? Chichibu Yasuhito. Or Chichibu. I'm guessing that so he might be Hirohito's heir, like the new Showa Emperor, or he wouldn't be the Showa Emperor, I guess, because that is Hirohito. Each imperial sort of regnal era is denoted by the emperor and the the name taken for that regnal era, or that emperor's reign. Right then, well, in that case, let's unpause and play for a few minutes. The video is also going to be a bit shorter today because I've got stuff to do, and I do want to kind of rest my voice because we are going to be doing, I think, Imperator when that releases. Gonna be doing a bunch of videos on that because I'm gonna be playing it anyway, so why not make videos? Yeah, everyone wants me, or wants to join the war. That's all good and well.
Alright.
Yeah, I didn't actually send these guys over. Let's send them to Korabaru and let us prepare an invasion of Bangkok directly. Yeah, now that we no longer have a common enemy, the non-aggression pact is void. Here we go, the petitioning of Britain. After defeating the Union of Britain, we now control Great Britain. We can petition these lands and create new countries with loyal governments. Yes, so let us do this. So this one makes the Commonwealth of Canada very upset with us. Apologies for that, I had something to attend to. So, I don't know which one we're going to go with. We're not going to go with one of the bottom ones because I think that's kind of weird to just liberate part of Britain and then occupy some of it. It feels kind of unnecessarily harsh. It feels kind of, end of World War II, like East-West Germany kind of deal. We don't want to balkanize completely, or we might want to balkanize it and then liberate it into its, liberate the United Kingdom into its individual constituents, but it's going to be one of the top twos. But I'm not quite sure which one yet. I think this is also one of those that I'm gonna leave this one up to the comments and time, because I'm completely not sure which one we want to go with. Yeah, I'm gonna do that. So I'm gonna actually call it here. I'm gonna edit the spliced videos together in order to fit it all together, and then I'm going to wait until I see some or hear some feedback on this, and make a decision next time. So thank you for watching.